Hello guys, today we're going to be solving the maximum path sum, problem 18 on Euler, by starting at the top of the triangle below and moving to the adjacent numbers on the row below. The maximum total from the top to the bottom is 23. So what it does is it gives us the numbers for the base case here, and then what we need to do is we need to go ahead and actually solve this big triangle here. So what I want to do is I actually want to use a tablet to show you guys how I got the answer, so that you guys can actually implement the algorithm if you see this question again. So what I'm going to do here is just go ahead and pull up Sketchpad. And with Sketchpad, I'm going to use the base case. So what we have is we have 3, we have 7 and 4. Then we have 2, we have 4, and we have 6. Then we have 8, 5, 9, and 3. So you can solve this problem starting from the top, right, to the bottom, or you can start from the bottom. Starting from the bottom is actually easier, as I found out, than going from the top. So what I'm going to do is show you guys how to find the answer from the bottom. So what I want to do is we start at the second row here, right? So what I want to do is I want to go ahead and compare these two numbers here. So what I want to say is 8 greater than 5. The answer is yes. So what I want to do is we want to go ahead and do 8 plus 2. We're going to get 10 here. So we store this number in this location. So we have 10 here now. Next thing we do is we go for the next adjacent number and we compare 5 and 9. Is 5 greater than 9? No. So 9 is the bigger number. So we're going to do 9 plus 4 here. And here, what we're going to do is we're going to get 13. Okay, so now we go back here. We check, is 9 greater than 3? Yes. So we do 9 plus 6, and we end up with 15. All right, so now that we're here, we use these two numbers that we stored in. So now in this row, this list here has the numbers 10, 13, and 15. Now we're going to use that and solve it again. So now we're going to go, now we're here. So we're going to say, well, is 10 greater than 13? No. So 13 is the biggest one. So it's going to be 13 plus 7, which is going to be 20. And then if we are here at 4, 15 is the biggest number, right? So we're going to do 15 plus 4. That's going to be 19. So if you're at 3 now over here, all that is left is 19 and 20. So you're just looking at the two numbers to compare now. So obviously 20 is the biggest number, so you're going to get 20 plus 3, and you store that value here, which is going to give us 23 for the base case, and this is what we're supposed to get. Alright, so what I'm going to do is just pull up IntelliJ, and then we're going to go ahead and start coding the question. Alright guys, so I've gone ahead and created a shell class pretty much in Java, and we are going to be implementing the solution now. So what I want to do, I want to get the data from IntelliJ. I'm going to do a private static string, because I want to go ahead and get an actual array, and I'm going to just call this one data. Next, what I want to do is create a variable to hold the string so we can split it by the escape sequence. Just go to project Euler here and copy the data, and then let's go ahead here and paste that data. Next, we're going to do is return the string dot split, and we're going to do it by the escape sequence. All right, so now we have an array. Next, what you want to do is store the values inside of a list, and I want to do it inside of a list because that's what it is. I want to represent each values here as a list of their own, so we can use that later on. So it's going to be a list, and it's going to be of integers, and I need to import that, so I'm hit out, so do out enter. Okay, let me call this one list of lists, that's fine, and this is going to take in the string array, call it array. So what we need to do is pretty much create our list of lists. I'm saying very list is going to equal to new array list. Right, so that's not coming out. So array list, and then this is going to take another list of type integer. Right. Next I want to do is I actually want to create the list that's actually going to hold the numbers, because the first one only takes a list of list, but it doesn't take in numbers. All right, so this is going to take in the integers. And what we want to do is we want to just go ahead and for temp we can just add the first number. Since this number it's alone, we're going to do integer dot parse int, and we want to do array with the 0 subscript because there's only one number in there. And then we want to go ahead and do list.addTemp because we want to get that list in. So list.add, and we're going to add in temp. So now we can create a for loop that starts the index at 1. I'm going to say for var index equals to 1, index is less than the array dot length, the index plus plus. So what I want to do next is create a variable with the actual split to get the array, right? And it's going to equal to the array with the index, and then we want to go ahead and split it by the empty spaces. So we're going to do split empty space here. Then we want to go ahead and reset temp. So temp is going to equal to new array list. All right. And since we defined temp up top, we don't have to pass in anything in here for it to take out the raw type warning. So next one to do is create a variable. So we're going to say var length is going to equal to 0. Length is going to be less than the split array dot length. Right, we'll do length plus plus. Alright, so next what we want to do is we want to say that the temp dot add, we're going to use the integer dot parse int, and then we're going to take the split array with the subscript length. And what I want to do after this is we want to go and say list is going to go ahead and we're going to add in temp. Okay. So now that we're done with this part of adding the numbers in here, we can just go ahead and return the actual list. Okay. So now that we're done with that part, what we need to do is we need to actually go ahead and solve the problem now. So I'm going to go ahead and create a private static int, and this is going to be called maximum path solution, and it's going to take in the lists of integers, and I'm going to call this one list. Alright, so this is where it gets a little bit tricky, right? Because, well, not really, but kind of. So remember, we need to start the actual search from the second part here. So we have to start it from the list, right, the size -2, because this would be the max, and then -2 will be here. All right, so with that said and done, what we need to do is go ahead and create a for loop here. We're going to say var, and we're going to say index is going to be equal to the list dot size -2, and if you check until the index is greater or equal to 0, and we have to decrement because we're going backwards. Next, what we want to do is create another for loop for the individual list, right? And this is going to be var, let's call this length, it's going to equal to 0. Do length is less than, so we want to go ahead and say list.get, and we want to get the index, the list of the index, and then we want to go ahead and get the actual size for it, right? And we're going to do len plus plus. So this is almost something that's working with a 2-dimensional array. except, you know, with a two-dimensional array, you just say, okay, we want either the row, and then we only get the column and then all the rows, something like that. So what I want to do is we actually want to go ahead and do the calculations to find the adjacent maximums, and then we have to set that back, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to say list.get, right? And we want to do the index, so where we're currently at right now. And then we want to go ahead and set that instead. Okay, so we want to set it at the current position where the adjacent number is. And then we want to go ahead and say list.get, and we want to get the index. This is where we are currently at right now. So the number that we're currently at, pointing and looking at the two numbers below, right? And what we want to do is we want to get the length. All right. And then what we want to do is we actually want to go ahead and add that. So remember that we have to add the max number. So now we have to find the actual max number. So we're going to use the math.max. Okay, and now we have to pass in two arguments. So what we want to do is we want to look at the actual row beneath us. So we're going to say list.get index plus 1. So now we are at the row beneath us where we're looking at right now, right? Dot get, and they want to get the actual value, so the length, right? And then I'm going to do it down here. So when you pass the second argument in, it's going to be list dot get index plus 1, right? And then I want to do the same thing, get. So here we're getting the first one. So now we want to get the second one here. So we're going to say that this one is going to be the length plus 1, right? And this is done here. So now that we have this, so remember that when we did this, the actual solution was actually at the top here. So when we finally go ahead and do this, the list.get 0, right, actually has that solution, right? So all we can do here is just return the list.get 0, which is going to return the actual list.get 0. It's going to return the actual number. Okay, so now that we've accomplished this, we're pretty much done with this solution. So what I want to do is go ahead and create main. So this is actually going to be public, not static. Void main string array args. And what we need to do first is get that array. So we're going to say the array is going to equal to the data. All right. Then I want to get the list. So we're going to say list is going to equal the list of list, and then we're going to go ahead and pass in the array. All right. And then what we want to do is just go ahead and print out the solution. So we're going to say that the maximum solution, and then we're going to go ahead and pass in the list here. And when we go ahead and run this, we should get the actual solution. So as you guys can see, we've arrived at the solution for this problem. Alright guys, this will be it for this tutorial. I hope you guys love it. If you guys like what I'm doing, please subscribe to my channel. I'll see you guys in the next tutorial. Bye.